All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. November 11th, we got 3 games to get into today, so I think it'll be a shorter video than usual. Last night we had 13 games, and we went 4-3, and which is great. We were up half a unit last night. A winning night. How can you complain about that? But I will say, 2 of those losses, just like the night before, were late, sort of, I don't want to call them impulse plays, but late educated impulse adds to the ticket. We added Jordan Poole over in threes, and we added CJ McCollum over in threes. And CJ McCollum now 2 times in a row has burned us with some terrible, terrible shooting. So, I don't know, CJ McCollum, we might give you one more chance at some point, but he could be working himself into, permanent graveyard fade territory for me, because he's been burned. He's burned us 2 times in a row now. But yeah, without those 2 plays, we would have had a better record last night, 4-1. But a loss is a loss. It doesn't matter if I placed it right before game time or if we placed it early in the morning. Like, it was on the ticket, transparent with you guys. It is what it is, but let's move on to tonight's games, and this is going to be one where you guys, I know I say it all the time, but you guys are going to definitely want to check the pinned comment throughout the day or when you're watching this, because these 3 games, I don't necessarily love or have any locks on here. I got some initial reads and initial feelings, but in terms of the pinned comment, I think that we have some player props that we're going to be looking at today as lines come out, as player numbers come out. So make sure to keep an eye on the pinned comment, because that is going to be where we update you guys with player props that we're considering or player props that we like and everything like that. And so keep an eye on that pinned comment. Make sure you guys also let me know your picks in the comments down below. I love reading those, even if they disagree with me. I love reading the comments and seeing what you guys are playing tonight. But let's move on here. We got the first game of the night. Toronto Raptors visiting the Philadelphia 76ers. Philly opening up at 2-point favorites. The total is 213.5. Toronto on the back-to-back here, obviously losing to my Celtics last night. A bad loss here, a bad loss for Toronto. And Philly also coming off a couple losses to New York and Milwaukee. Philly's now lost 2 straight to tough Eastern Conference rivals. And I can't convince you to take Philly tonight, okay? You'd think coming off 2 losses at home, it would make sense, but with Tobias Harris questionable, Seth Curry questionable, Joel Embiid out, Thibault out, like I can't look at the Sixers the same right now and say, yep, they can beat anybody. So my lean right now, and yes, they're coming off a stomping, yes, they're coming off a back-to-back, and by the way, someone that watches every Celtics game, that Raptors game was incredibly physical, so you would say, oh, why would you take the Raptors the next day? I don't know if I'm going to take them, but my lean right now is towards the Raptors. They're healthier. They're on a back-to-back. They're a really good away team this year. In fact, last night was their first road loss to the Celtics. So they're good. I don't worry about the home court advantage. They pretty much learned for the last year and a half how to play on the road. So it's either going to be Raptors or nothing for me in this one. And the reason it might be nothing is because Philly is, I guess, at home and hungry, but they're missing so many guys that I would lean Raptors initially here. In terms of a total, we haven't been hitting, I be completely honest, we haven't been hitting our totals lately, so take these numbers for what they're worth. But my numbers say that it's going to be a 202 total here. Vegas has a 213.5, so that is a huge difference. But NBA totals this year, man, if you're a betting man, I think you've started to learn that NBA totals are a tough one to pick until we truly have, I guess, spreadsheets and formulas that identify and can rely on the new sort of type of game we're playing. So I do usually, back my analytics there, but I don't think I'm touching the total. One, because of sort of, the hesitancy there, but 2, also, you have 2 very inconsistent, capable teams tonight. So, enough rambling about that game. It's going to be Toronto +2 or nothing for me tonight. But keep an eye on the pinned comments for that. Next up, we have the Jazz hosting the Pacers. The Jazz 9-point favorites, total 219.5. I hate to say it, but my initial lean right now is Jazz. And I think, I think the Pacers can hang, and I think the Pacers are a good team, but I think the Jazz are just so good. And the Pacers coming off of a back-to-back loss last night, You know, it's Jazz or nothing for me today. But and I say it all the time when we get up towards 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9. I tell you guys, that is a large number. I don't like relying on any team to win by double digits. But needless to say, Jazz, I think, are one of the top probably three teams in the league right now. The Pacers aren't even really close to that, so I might just be riding with the home team and the better team here tonight. But that 9 points is a lot to lay down, and it's a lot for me to think about today. So make sure to keep an eye on the pinned comment. The Jazz are a great home team. They're 3-1 against the spread, 4-0 straight up at home. So I could totally see them making this sort of, a 9, 10, 11, 12-point win. But the Pacers strike me as a team that can hang. So there's a lot to think about here. It's real early in the morning right now. This game kind of made my brain hurt because there's a lot of factors here. But right now I'm leaning Jazz -9 over the Pacers team on a back-to-back coming off a loss. Last but not least, we have the Clippers hosting the Heat. Heat 2.5-point favorite, or no, Clippers 2.5-point favors, excuse me. And the total here is 214.5. I think the total's kind of spot on, so we can skip past that, I guess. Like, I'm not touching that total. I kind of gave my total rant about Philly and Toronto too. Like, I really want to start crunching some numbers and focusing on totals to get a better sort of formula for these, because it's been pretty inconsistent the last week or so. But in terms of that 2.5-point spread, Miami is coming off a game against the Lakers last night where they lost 120-117. And they've lost 2 in a row now. One to Denver, which we all know the Jokic and Morris play. They lost to the Lakers, whereas the Clippers have won 5 straight. And this Clippers team may be turning into, I don't know, just a good team where they were super inconsistent to start. So I think I might lean Clippers early here, and the biggest reason being, if you look at the Miami injury report, I say it all the time. It's like someone fell asleep on the question mark button on the keyboard. PJ Tucker questionable. Morris questionable. Jimmy Butler questionable. Tyler Hero questionable. Max Strus questionable. Like, I can't tell you guys in a video to take the Heat when Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, those two alone, but then you even throw in, Tucker, Morris, that type of thing. Like, I can't tell you guys an educated lean or what I'm thinking to take the Heat when all those guys are injured. So, even if 1 or 2 of those guys are out, I think I start to like the Clippers here. They're not on the back-to-back. They're coming off a solid win. And, I will say their competition, what they've beat on this win streak, isn't all that great. They beat OKC, they beat Minnesota twice, they beat Charlotte, and they beat Portland. Whereas Miami's lost to, I guess hard-fought losses here, like the Celtics. They did beat Utah. They lost to Denver, then lost to the Lakers. Like, Miami definitely has had a harder schedule over these last few games. But again, it comes down to those injuries. If those injuries weren't the case, give me Miami all day long, even on the back-to-back, even after a late night last night. Give me them all day long against the Clippers here. I think Miami would bounce back strong. But those injuries, Jimmy Butler left with, I think, an ankle injury. Tyler Hero questionable too. Like, those are some crucial injuries, if I do say so. So, keep an eye on that injury report. If all of a sudden we see that Jimmy Butler's a go, Tyler Hero's a go, those two alone, forget all the other question marks on there. I start to lean back towards Heat. But for now, if those guys are injured or we don't hear about that, I'm definitely leaning Clippers here. So, those are my picks, and if we can even call them that tonight, guys, you got to understand, my motto is, and I've said it to you guys all along, is that I'm not going to force picks just for content, right? So keep an eye on that pinned comment. I will have some player props throughout the day, and I bet I have player props that I like more than these plays today. But yeah, I'm not forcing picks. We have a short slate here. I'm not going to force picks just for the content. Like, I'm putting my own money on the line here too, So it's I can fully acknowledge that, I'm giving you 3 leans, but it is what it is, right? Like, we don't have a lot to pick from here. So keep an eye on that pinned comment to see what I am rolling with tonight. And keep an eye on it for the player props as well, because I think that we could have some good player props in these games. I'm just waiting for all the player prop lines to come out. So short video today. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I think we've had few positive days in a row here, which is awesome. Our win percentage is up to like 52%, which it was 61 to start the year, but you know, it is what it is. We are clawing, we are grinding. Like I always say, it's a heavyweight fight with Vegas, and this one's going the distance, but we're going to win by points. We're going to win by points. So we're going to point Vegas to death. So we will catch you guys in the next video. Hopefully we make some bread tonight. Keep an eye on that pinned comment. Peace out.